Welcome to the Learning About Dogs podcast with Kay Lawrence and Frances McCormack, and introducing her new collie puppy, Nika. This series is going to be focusing on all those questions that arise when you try and survive that first year with a new puppy. Okay, and welcome back to everyone again. We are having a much needed chat about that transition where we've had one dog and it's been such a lovely experience that we want to have two. And you think, oh, that'd be better because now we've got two dogs. There's a lot of things that aren't quite the problem, but in actual fact, two is not just double. It grows exponentially unless you can actually be prepared for how you're going to live with a group of dogs, which two becomes a pack group. So Frances is now on her two-dog life and has been into this now for a few weeks, and we thought we'd just cover some questions about how we can live with two dogs without getting into a lot of trouble. So first of all, how is the arousal levels affected from one to another? So when one dog gets aroused, it would be absolutely natural for the other dog to match them. Yes, that is what is called being a group dog. So I remember seeing a video of the wild dogs of South Africa, and they were having their afternoon siesta snooze, and one dog started to wake up and go around licking the faces of all the other dogs, and within about 2 minutes this whole lot were up and off for hunting. I mean, goodness me, it was no sleepy wake up and do I want to go out. It was full blown, yeah, let's go hunting. And they went straight up to full arousal, because if you don't get aroused with the rest of the pack and you think, actually I'll have a lie-in, you get left behind. So one dog rarely would have a lie-in if the other dogs were all getting aroused. Yes, they will naturally respond to it.
This sounds very familiar, especially in the evening time when they'll have their funny hour and they'll play and play and play, and finally they'll lie down to sleep. And usually it's Nika the puppy who decides, I might like to do something over there. And as soon as she moves, Tiernan's up and the whole thing starts again.
Yes, I think with puppies they can either sleep or not sleep, whereas
Yes.
adult dogs know the thing called pre-sleeping, which I think is, oh, I would love that. So if you know you've got to get up early tomorrow morning, you could say, I tell you what, I'm going to have an extra 2 hours this afternoon so I can have a normal night's sleep and not worry about getting to bed at time and the rest of it. But you know when you go to bed, you're anticipating what's going to be happening tomorrow, so you don't sleep at all. So you don't get this sort of sleep while you can aspect, because if you have a sleep in the afternoon, it means you're not going to go to sleep when you go to bed. And dogs are so good at that, but puppies don't seem to have it. So puppies can either be full on or not, fast asleep. Yes, but dogs, the adults learn that resting phase, yeah, and they can happily nap and it won't affect their evening sleep at all, won't affect their evening routines. Oh,
Right.
I wish.
Yeah. They have a lovely deep sleep in the afternoons now. Between maybe 1 o'clock and 3:30. That's it. They're both out to the world. And then the rest of the afternoon they'll have a potter and another little snooze, and then once it hits 7 or 8 o'clock in the evening, it's time for play.
Yes, yes. And that will become a routine as much as your rest will as well.
Mm.
So if you need to go to bed early, the answer is you can't. Because at 8 o'clock at night they're going to have their play.
In fact, they both love to go to bed, so I usually stay up till around 11 o'clock at night. By about 10:30, they're both telling me now it's time to go to sleep. And Tiernan, this used to be Tiernan's routine. He'd come into the living room and he'd look at me and he'd give me the follow me look, which I know too well and to which I've assented many a time, get myself into trouble. And he'll walk down the hall. If I don't move, he'll come back in and he'll give me the follow me look again.
And a
And if
sigh.
I don't move, he'll
Yes.
come in and he'll tap me on the leg and be like, come on, woman. Yeah, but now I've got two of them at this.
Yes, oh dear. Yes. So what do you think? I mean, certainly, I know often it's a worry people have that one dog will teach another dog bad habits. But I have found that unless that response is likely to exist in that dog naturally, the other dog doesn't wake it up. So I had
Right.
Flink was absolutely silly about hot air balloons. They frighten, and she would get very, very aroused if she thought it was a hot air balloon, even get a little overexcited about the moon. Yep. And so she would go off on one and go turn across the field, barking at these hot air balloons because they can hear the burners going and they can hear people talking. And she worked out where it was. Yes, it's up there, and it's a dragon coming in to eat us all, and everyone needs to panic and run. And her puppy, like, yeah, whatever, I don't care. So she never transferred that to her puppy. Yep. So, but she was all over strangers like they were her lost, forgotten, friends that she had left in her previous 10 years of life. Bear in mind, she was born with at my house. So, this stranger greeting was absolute pain in the butt. She would run off and be the pain that would jump all over people, and her puppy was exactly the same. So, if it's likely to have been in that dog, whether it's hereditary or not, the other dog will bring it out. So if one dog is suspicious of strangers, but the other dog goes, yeah, whatever, I don't mind strangers, they're not likely to transfer it. But if the other second dog is likely to be suspicious of strangers, the behaviour of the first dog will draw it out. So what do you
Right.
think that Tiernan does that she's like, yeah, whatever, I'm not bothered? It's not transferring, or it is transferring. You can see her teaching here as something.
Well, the one thing he does that doesn't transfer is he likes to bark at delivery people, as you can imagine.
Mm-hmm.
She's tried it out once, she's given it a little bark, and I don't think it's really been her thing. So we'll usually, when there's a grocery delivery, we'll usually go out the back garden and we'll have a game. So it's made his barking periods shorter because he'll do his job and then he'll come and have a game.
Mm-hmm.
But that's just not transferred to her. She just waits on the grass for
Oh, great,
a game.
great, yep,
Yeah.
yep.
Um, the funny thing that has transferred is that so she loves to acquire things and she knows she gets paid for swapping. And he's been helping her to acquire things, so he'll nudge things to her, or
Mm-hmm.
he'll offer her something. We've never taken anything off the coffee table, but occasionally he'll slip her a coaster or a piece of paper or a pen, and then he'll go and tell on her.
Yes, yes. I mean, there's certain things that can't transfer. So having two different breeds like the Gordon Setter and the Collies, the Gordon Setters would naturally point the chickens, and the Collies are like, whatever. Absolutely not look at them whatsoever. And they'd be in the field together, and the Collies are all standing watching each other or watching me or waiting for the ball, and a rabbit would streak through the whole bunch. And the Gordon Setter would just weave between all the collies taking off after the rabbit, and the collies are like, not our problem. So you don't get innate behaviors of one transferring to the other unless that exists in the other dog. So, they're not going to teach them bad habits unless we develop them, i.e., they're
Yes.
not innate bad habits like racing out the door to chase the pigeons off the garden.
Hmm. Yeah.
So how's that going?
Pigeons, no, she'll stand and just watch the world go by in the garden. There's no sign of chasing or anything like that yet. And she's, very easily um, called away to do something else. And she'll return to me quite well. So, but she does like to kind of smell the air and just examine the breeze and think about what's going on. But there's a particular pigeon that when he lands on the wall, Tiernan's not very happy about him visiting at all. You weren't invited, go away. But again, that's something that she hasn't
Picked up yet? Yeah,
acquired from
yeah.
him. Yeah.
I mean, there's odd sort of things like Zip is really, really bad at jumping up. I mean, jump punching. When she's
Mhm.
aroused, it's jump punching, and if she wants to go out the back door, it's jump punching the back door. And the other lad, I won't say it because he's right here now, TODD, never jumped up. He's never put his paws on me, and he's never put his paws on furniture. It's just one of those things that's not transferred, which is fine.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
so, what one dog learns, it doesn't necessarily mean the other dog's going to learn.
Mhm.
Um,
Yeah.
but if it's in that dog, like streaking across the field at 30 miles an hour until we reach the hedge, and they're both likely to enjoy it, oh, yes, the behaviour of one will stimulate the emergence of that behaviour in the other.
Right. So racing out the back door, then that would make sense.
Yes, 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 because they're both likely to enjoy it, and he is actually releasing that behaviour that's emerging from her. Yep.
Yeah.
So when you see these sort of, it's not imitation, but when you see this behaviour emerging, this is one of the different things. How do you know this is likely to be an issue? Or how do you think, oh, well, this is just cute? This is just interesting to start with. And there's certain collie behaviours that you've got to be so careful as they're emerging. And, at that point in time, you say, no, this can't happen. So traffic chasing is the classic one. Todd is a very, very strong working lines. Traffic, whatever, not interested. Is it? No, whatever, So some of them will be and some of them won't be. But the first signs that, it is unlikely to be noticed by somebody who's beginners is that very, very fast eye movement and the head. And you can just go bang, that's awake. That's first event learning. And at that point, you need to take the dog away from that situation as quick as possible because it's going to escalate extremely quickly.
Yes.
But if one dog is not a traffic chaser, you can stand it by traffic all its life and it's not going to start doing it just because the other dog is.
Yeah.
So I had two siblings, one did and one didn't, and they, never transferred from one. And the one that was likely to become a traffic chaser, until she could learn to cease and desist or, that'll do, she wasn't allowed to be given the opportunity. But, you wouldn't take them on the sheep unless you've got control of them, so you wouldn't take them on the traffic unless you've got control of them. So
Yes,
these emerging collie behaviours are, need to be taken very seriously.
yes, and in fact, I remember when Nico was very young and was up in my arms, and I'd mentioned to you that we were outside in the garden and she saw a car go by and she was very interested in it. I remember you advising me to watch against that and to make sure that in the car, when she was traveling with us, she wasn't working
Yes,
the
yes,
cars
yes.
driving past. Yeah.
And I think often if they see glimpses of them, it's often the light reflecting off them that attracts their attention to it.
Yes.
Particularly on bright days. And you can imagine what it's like at night for a dog to see a pair of eyes coming towards them and growling at the same time.
Yeah.
So yes, it's no wonder they start to get a little alarmed about traffic.
Yeah.
So when you're teaching them, how is the reward situation going? So if you want to deliver a reward for one, do they both get a reward for what one does well, or how are you managing that at the moment? What's the protocol?
Well, it's an interesting one because I've been thinking about this, and sometimes I will be working with both of them at one time. So Tiernan is used to knowing that a verbal marker means that his reward is going to come. So if she's a little bit slower, I have a little hand signal for him that tells him, that accompanies the verbal marker, that tells him that it's unique to him, that his is going to come, and he trusts the reward process. If it was the other way around, I'd be much more careful, I think. And I would only do it with movements that are very well established and where there's not going to be a risk of frustration with her. But I try not to do that very often. We just do the reward process by itself. We have lots of that throughout the day. So we'll go shopping in the department store. We'll use your shopping protocol and move throughout the house so they don't know where they're going to be and they'll come with me. And it's just a non-contingent reward. So there's lots of non-contingent rewards. There's lots of food capture games and so on. And I can do that. I can separate it out with the food capture games. We've been working on this is for you and this is for
Okay.
you. And
So
that
how
works
do
well.
they know that this is for you?
I've been using their name and eye contact with them.
Yeah. So, I mean, again, having puppies that are born at home, so I often have the mother. One of the hardest things is that if you call the mother, the pup will come as well because it's natural for them to follow their mother wherever they go. So, teaching the pup that their name is not their mother's name is something that you have to spend time to do. So, even if you've got a marker for him, if that means his is coming, but she's actually going to get food first, then that marker is becoming her marker as well.
Right.
So she's going to need, you're going to need to maybe use a hand signal or something for him that she doesn't actually see. But it'll be the look and the name. Yes, that she knows that this is his and not mine. And it's the important bit of that this is not mine.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah.
you know, when I had sort of half a dozen dogs, telling them, this is your name. So I would call A, good. Now B, C, D, E, and F also learn that when they hear A, they get nothing. They just have to wait.
Right.
So there was one of the first early books on sheepdog training was about how you train a brace of dogs to work on the sheep. So you can have different commands. So one dog could work in English and the other dog could work in French. So they don't know each other's words. But what you actually do is when you tell the dog, so the dog that's learning French stands by my side, and as I say to the dog that's going to learn in English, go left, yes, I would say to the dog that's standing by my side, that's with me, wait, or whatever they're having that French.
Right.
And as you give the English dog the command to go right, you would say to the dog that's learning French, wait. So every single cue that you gave the dog in English, the French speaking dog learned to stand still.
Right.
Does that make sense?
It
I know
does,
it
yeah.
sounds a bit complicated. So instead of having to go turn and left and turn and right and turn and sit and turn and down, you every
Mm.
time she hears turn, it means stand still to her. If his cue is to
Okay.
sit, it means stand still to her. If his cue is down, it means stand still to her. If his cue is come, it means stand still to her. And you teach her that every one of his individual language means stand still, because you don't want the two dogs moving at the same time, because you'd never manage them. Yeah, so you know that when you tell one
Okay.
dog to turn left, the other dog's naturally going to stop. So with
Mm-hmm.
her, you want her to learn Tiernan. Yep, stay there. And you
Mm-hmm.
feed him and you feed her for staying still. And you might give a hand signal for Tiernan to come forward. So you say his name, Tiernan, and you hold your hand out and he takes a step forward. He gets a piece of food. She gets a piece of food for not moving. And it'll work the other way
Right.
round as well. So you can use your puppy gates for this as well, so that he's sitting behind a puppy gate and she's sitting on one side and he's on the other side. Doesn't matter which side they are. So you ask her to do something. He can't do anything because he's stuck behind the puppy gate, but they both get a piece of food for whatever you've asked her to do.
Okay.
So he gets rewards for resting when she is doing, yes, and
Yes.
vice versa.
This could be a game changer for us because one of the difficulties I'm having at the moment is bringing one out for planned learning sessions and the other one not wanting to come.
Yeah.
So, I mean that there's a big jump between those two things, but I suppose we could help build on that
Oh,
understanding.
absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. So, um, if you want to train or work or play with one dog, what is the other dog supposed to do? Because we've already talked about one dog being aroused and having a good time. The other dog's going to feel A, why am I being left out? And B, I need to join in. This is important. This is my urge. I should be doing this with you. Yes, particularly if this is the older dog that's always done it with you. Yeah, or either of them,
Yes.
they're going to feel totally confused and distressed about being left out. So when they're doing training at the moment, it needs to be, if it's arousal training, the other one must not be in sight. Yes, because the
Hmm.
vision of you doing arousal training with one dog will not work well with the number two. So
Yes.
if you stand at the gate, yes, and they're both, i.e., at hand's distance from you, but one is over the gate and one is on the same side as you, then all you need to do is ask one to touch this target or follow this cup. Cool, here's your food, and that's your piece. Yes, for not
Right.
trying to follow that cup. Yes, or not trying to
Okay.
step on that target, and there's your piece. So the other dog gets fed as much as the first one for doing nothing, just for watching.
Okay.
Um,
And
and then
how
you
do you
swap.
shift then? Sorry, I'm
Yeah.
just wondering if the dog is getting their reward for not following the cup, how do they learn to discriminate between
The gate.
when the cup is at the gate is purely that stimulus of
Yeah,
the
so
context cue?
dog behind gate. You can have it. I know some people would have it. The dog rests on the sofa, but I prefer the gate because then they're free to stand, lie down, sit, do whatever they like. It's not they're having to
Hmm.
stay.
Yes.
Because I would do most of my training. My future was sort of All of the dogs pile into the car, the van. They've each got their own little compartments with a gate on the back of it. And we
Mhm.
go to a competition. Now, to start with, I would train the youngster right outside the back of the car and the others sitting there watching. Oh, here we go again. She's training something else. Cool, here's your food as well. Cool, youngster does a spin. Good, here's your food as well. Youngster does a down. Cool, here's your food as well. And they learn pretty quickly, even if they knew the words spin and down, because I'm not looking at them, I'm looking at the youngster. They're quite happy to not try and do those behaviours, even though they know them.
Right.
So forget the telling him to wait. He can do what he likes, but you're not looking
Mhm.
at him. So when you reward, your marker is eye contact.
Okay, so that's at the reward point. Yeah.
Yes. So you would be
Okay.
standing, say, with the gate on your left and Tiernan's sitting over the other side of the gate, and she's in front of you, or Tiernan can be lying down, whatever he fancies. He's the other side of the gate. Cool. Are we all looking at me? That's great. And you would look at her. You can say her name as well, because it helps her to know that her name means her food is coming. But you've already got the marker, which is you're looking at her directly. This is your food. I'm looking at you, and there's yours. And then you turn to face him and you go, oh, and here's your food, and you drop that over the gate for him.
Super. That.
So you've
Yeah.
got two markers. One of their names as a
Mhm.
marker, yep, and the
Mhm.
other one is the look at them.
Okay. Yeah. I can.
It's
That
not
makes
like you're going to be
perfect
working them
sense.
as a team to do something. There are certain
Mhm.
cues that you'll want them both to respond to at the same time, like let's change direction, come this way, all stop, all in the car, all in the house.
Mhm.
And those you'll have to be careful not to be looking at anybody.
Yes. And I think those have a different kind of pull because they want to be together. They want
Yes,
to be
yes,
together and they want to go where I'm going. So that's more natural that they would
yes, yes.
would want to do that together as a group.
Yeah. So also manage your swap times as well. So if somebody thinks they're going to be coming into the house and shut in the house because I'm going to go out with the other one and do a bit of training, the answer is no, I'm staying in the garden. No, I'm not coming in. Okay, that's fine because you will need to attend this at some time.
Hmm.
So you go in and start training the other one inside, and then they're like, ooh, ooh, oh no, I'm missing out. I'm coming in. Jolly good. Yes. So don't be manipulated by the, oh, but I want to do my training now. Yes, we've done your training. You've finished your training. Everybody's going in. And I would go
Right.
in and I would call everybody to follow me. Right, we're all going in. And then somebody's still standing on the middle of the lawn going, oh, I know I want to do more. Jolly good, but the door's shutting. We're in now. Oh, okay.
Aha.
Mm-hmm. Okay, but what are you doing in there? Well, I'm going to do some training in here, or I'm going to play with the two that came in with me. Oh, well, that's not fair. I'll just go have a quick whiz on here, and I want to come in as well. That's a good idea. This manipulation that needs to be. Oh, that's a good idea. You thought of coming in as well. Excellent.
Hmm.
Yes. What you don't
And
do
because you've
is work at
invited,
it. Yes.
yeah, and because you've invited them in, it sets that kind of um the context for that as well. It's not that you're excluding them. You have actually
Yes.
invited
Yes.
them and they've
Yes.
chosen not to.
Yes. That's right. And you only said it once. Only
Hmm.
say it once. Right, we're all going in. All right, everybody in now. And that cue, everybody in, is everybody. Yes, or everybody in the house, or
Right.
whatever it is. It's not individual to whoever you want to come in and who don't want to come in.
Mm.
So they all learn to follow you into the house. But one says, "Nah, I think I'm going to stay out for a while." That's fine. Door shutting, gate shutting. You're now going to miss out on what's happening indoors. Oh,
Yes.
oh. So that is the advantage of the two dogs, is that you can use that little bit of not fear of missing out, but that I don't want to be excluded, not jealousy, I just don't want to be excluded, as a little bit
Hmm.
of a manipulator for saying, you're fine, you can actually at this moment in time wait outside, even though I need to go out in a hurry and I need you to come in. I'm not going to let you know
Hmm.
that because, the dog sitting in the middle of the lawn that won't come in can be quite hard work. And then you fall down the rabbit
Yes.
hole of bribery. So use
Right.
the everybody's going in. If you want to stay out there, that's fine, but it's going to start raining now. It's your
Mm.
choice. Yeah, so you do give them that choice. So yes, practicing the protocol of you're in, you're out, but we're both at the gate training together. And you
Hmm.
deliberately face, this is the puppy that I'm asking, or this is the dog, and I'm saying, look, I've loaded this cup, follow the cup, come back in front of me, cool, food on the floor. No cup for the other dog, you just lean over and give them a treat.
Right.
So you don't even use the cup for the other dog. Now what they're learning is when you're using the cup on a stick for one, it just means the other gets the treats for watching, not trying to follow the cup on a stick. And again,
Okay.
let the gate be your contingent that it's a spectator sport for you at the moment. We will change over shortly. It's a pretty easy life just to sit and do nothing. But the cool thing is, say you want to do an experiment. So I remember doing a little bit of experiment. I wanted to teach the dog to push a toy off the top of the cone. Yes, and I was going to take this
Hmm.
forward to push the middle one, the left one, or the right one. So I was doing this with one of the Gordons, and I used the target stick, which was the push, poked the target stick, and he pushed that off the cone. Cool. And then I did this on that one. And one of the collies was watching through the gate, and she was really, really smart observer. And I said, okay, everybody swap over, and it's your turn now. And she came straight in and did it. So, as an experiment,
Goodness.
had she learnt what he was doing by watching him through the gate? 100%. So, this is where we teach these dogs not mimicry, but they're working through the process with the dog that's actually learning. They actually learn what that dog is doing as they do it.
That's fascinating, and they're so attentive to it. You
Oh,
can
yes,
see
yes.
where I have, because often after a planned learning session, Tiernan doesn't want to go back into the living room, and so Nika and I have been on the other side of a gate. Unfortunately, I haven't um, been thoughtful enough to work it in the same way that you've described there. But he'll often watch her through the gate, and I notice he's very attentive to her, far more attentive to her than he is to me. So I'll be interested
And
to see
who do
what
you
kind of
tend to
learning.
train first? Who gets to go first?
It had been Tiernan up until very recently, for the simple reason that he had that huge history with us, and she was content to do something. I think she hadn't had that,
Mm-hmm.
discovered how rewarding that planned learning was. She was
Mm.
very um, content to do something in the living room with the other human, and then come out. But what I've been doing recently is, because she now just thinks that planned learning is the best thing ever,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and knows all of the cues that it's about to come, has seen all of the patterns, and can even tell by my energy, even if I'm, just trying to faff about beforehand. So I've been taking her out for a very brief session, and then bringing him out, and then
Mm-hmm.
bringing her out again.
It's
So
likely that he would rest easier than her because he's more mature. So
yes.
you often start with the youngster and do their workout, and that's probably going to be a shorter working session because she can do less.
Hmm.
Yes, because her capacities learn. Um, and he would do the longer one, and then she would rest easier if she's already had a good session for herself. Yeah, so her
Yes.
first, and he's more experienced at resting, but you'll still have to reward the resting. For when you're teaching them this resting thing, you gradually give them only one piece for every five that you give the active dog. Yes, so
Okay.
she is one for one to start with. She follows and does some of the cup and stick, one for you, one for him. And then after a while, she can do two or three, and you'll give him one in three. And then you'll give him one
Hmm.
in five. So it spaces out quite happily, and they're fine with it. It's not
Mm.
a sense of being excluded, it's a sense of waiting because their turn will always come at the end.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
I've
you don't want them
never,
that full either. Not too much food.
no,
Yes. But I
I've
also
never
find if
worked,
I've got. Go on.
yeah, I've never worked with him where she's been able to see but not been able to participate. But she
Yes.
still knows that that's what we're doing. She can smell the food, and of course, being
Yes,
a hungry
yes,
puppy,
yes,
she wants the
yes.
food as well. So,
So she's
yeah.
going to have to learn that behind the gate while he's doing simple stuff in front.
Mm,
Yep.
very
But
much.
I also find if it's your long-term routine for me, I always start with the dog that's least capable first. Because if you start with your super dog, your bright dog can do everything, it's easy, we've worked out our language, he knows this, he knows that, and then you downgrade to the learner, you're not as good, are you with me? Because you're expecting them to be as sharp or as able or as competent, and they're not. So I start with first grade and move up to fourth grade, move up to eighth grade. Are you with me? I don't try and start with the senior dog because it's not good for me, because you start to work at the
Yes.
senior dog speed, and that's not then good for the grade 4 dog. Yep.
That's an excellent point. And in fact, that was one of the biggest bits of learning when she arrived, was how I had to adjust to
Mm-hmm.
her learning.
Mm-hmm.
Just all of the assumptions I made about what she would be able to do in terms of learning.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
and having to build that, it was a real kind of slap in the face for me. In other words, I gave myself a slap in the face for making assumptions, as I tend to do. Yeah.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
And keeping records for each of them, so you don't think, well, this one's learnt that and that one's doing what? Oh, I can't remember. Yes, I know you'll keep good records
Mm,
of who is where and what they're learning. Lovely.
yes,
And how's the walking together
absolutely.
going? So how's this group outings?
Ooh, well, it's been, it was a challenge at first because I had forgotten everything that I learned from you. I took them both out of, so I took her out first, out of the car. We were up in the car park. I took her out of the car and it was lovely. We were, nice walking together, connected, same focal point, turning towards each other and so on.
Hmm.
And then I took him out and it was like, let's go. All right, we're having great fun. Let's go sniff. Oh, we're going to sniff over there. And I just
Right.
felt I don't exist
Yes.
anymore. I've
So
just
they
become
connected to
invisible.
each other, but you were excluded.
Exactly. It was a
Yes.
horrible feeling.
Yes. 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 Well, yeah, but this is, we tend to. There's been all sorts of histories of this over as long as I've been in dog business, that when you get the second dog, that you have to bond with them separately, otherwise they'll bond together more than they'll bond with you, and all this anxiety about bonding with your dog. And the answer is, of course, they'll bond with each other better. They're the same species.
Mm.
You know,
Mm.
the advantage of having that second dog means that they get all that playtime and exercise together, which is more normal, yes, in the rearing and development
Yes.
process, and they will become very strongly bonded. But that doesn't exclude you. It's a little bit like saying that you've got to keep your children separate so they don't
Hmm.
have any sibling bonding, because the parent wants to have the greatest relationship with the children. No, you want your kids to go and play together so you can have a moment's peace. Yep. So
Absolutely. Yeah.
provided they get on together, absolutely they will spend most of their 23 and a half hours a day together, which allows you to
Hmm.
go and work and make recordings and stuff like this. So yes, their bonding will be absolutely fine, and they will come to you and find their bond with you is different. It's not the same. It's not in
Mm.
competition.
Yeah.
But the strong bond between them could well exclude you when they go out and do dog-based activities. Yep. So when they
Yes.
do go and chase a pigeon, you will not be part of the picture whatsoever. You know,
Hmm.
because you don't chase pigeons. You know, so the activities that the two of them do together will always have a stronger response than the activities you do with them as individuals.
You clearly haven't seen me on wacky races chasing those pigeons, Karen.
Or
But
digging a
I
hole.
mean, the
Yes, that's
reason.
only on digging a hole. Yes.
Well, Nika thinks she's just helping with the garden. We had
Oh,
a walk
yes.
around
Yes,
yesterday, and
yes.
I said to her, "My goodness, the moles have been in here."
Yes,
But the
yes.
reason I got, that I decided to bring her into the home was so that he would have a companion. So I expect that. I
Yes,
absolutely
yes,
have
yes.
there'll be no resentment or no resistance to that from me. But while I was trying, I just thought, how do I how do I manage now to walk with them both in a connected way? Is it do how do I hold? It was everything was new. I've got two hands, and I normally have two hands on one lead. So I thought, am I going to use my leg? Am I going to use my teeth? What am I going to do? Just having to learn to walk
Yes,
again
yes, yes.
behind the two of them as they were sniffing every patch of ground. She's just, it was nose down. I want to find all, it was a totally different dog.
Yeah, because she had him in tow. Yes, yes. So,
Yeah.
so when she's with you and you're walking together, you don't go off sniffing. So she didn't go off
No.
sniffing. All right. But
Yeah.
when he's there, going off sniffing is something they do together in the garden. So that they act as a stimulus to each other.
Mhm.
So whereas when you work or you're looking at the skills of individual dogs, you And the lead is just the safety tool. The lead is not there to be used. It doesn't matter whether you have it around your neck. I really don't care. Although it's not a safe opposition. You can hold both handles in one hand. It's fine. Um,
Mm.
what do you teach one dog? You're probably actually jumping from step 1 to step 6 to step 18 to step 22, 23. So you're actually graduating the learning up the steps quite quickly because you're not competing against the stimulus of the environment or the presence of another dog. So you can actually say, oh, look,
Right.
we've done the grade 1 step, we've done that, cool. Now we can do the grade 8 step, and you got to 8 without any trouble because there's no competition to getting to that level. When the
Mm.
second dog comes in, that is like you're escalating the environment very quickly because the second dog is giving off a whole bunch of stimuli to her as well as you. And whose does she respond to? Well, she's more used to responding to him than she is to you. So his body language overrides your body language.
Okay.
Okay. So step number 1 is we're all dressed, we've got our collars on, we've got the jacket zipped up, we've got the keys in the pocket, the car's locked, and we're standing at the back of the car doing nothing.
Right.
Right? Both the leads slack, yes, because they're standing with you. So your body language is the dominant cue. We now
Yes.
take a step and we come back to standing still, where your body language is the dominant cue. And that one step, they're probably going to go off like a bomb burst in different directions. Go, oh yeah, we're moving, we're moving, we're moving. No, that means we're taking one step so that we can stop again. Ah. So it literally, instead of going from grade 1 to grade 8, which you could do with one dog, you've got to go grade 1, let's get to grade 2, check. Are we all still listening to my body language? Yes. Right, now we'll stay on to grade 3. Are we still listening to my body language? Yes. Cool. And then you go up very, very gradually because the minute you take a jump ahead, the body language of one dog will override you.
Right.
So she'll
Yeah.
go, oh, Leaf, go. And he'll go, yeah, I'm with you. And even though she's responded to the leaf, the fact that he moves with her endorses that behaviour. Yes, go, go, I'll come with you.
Yes. That makes lots of sense, actually. Yeah, and I can see, as you said, she's more used to responding to his body language. I can see that throughout the day. I can see examples of that in every part of their life. If he stirs at night, she's wants to see what he's doing and so on, and certainly all of that. They're constantly watching and responding to each other.
Apart from that, his body language is much easier for her to understand without having to think about it.
Yeah, that's true.
But even when you're moving around the house, if you go from one room to another, they will learn the pattern, yes, and they stop looking at you.
Hmm.
You've stood up, oh, I fancy a cup of tea. Pfft, they've gone to the kitchen because they can recognise your body language. That's where you're intending to go. So it's
Oh
almost like
gosh.
they're you stood up and go, oh, I'll go and put the kettle on. He's recognised it. She's responded to him. You've not
Mm.
now the dominant cue. I know this word
Right.
dominant can upset some people, but it's about the cue hierarchy. So when you're
Yeah.
walking together, the cue hierarchy has got to come from you. And the minute they take the hierarchy from each other, it's trouble. There's going to be trouble ahead.
Ah, yeah. And I can actually see ways in which when she was a puppy, I rewarded that to her. I kind of used her responses to him to help
Yeah, yeah,
with her learning and things like returning to
yeah,
me. It was
yeah. Of course
really
you do.
easy to help build that from her wanting to be with
Mm.
him and him wanting to be with me. And I'm sure that dynamic has slightly shifted in that I'm not the center of his universe anymore.
Well,
Um,
yes,
and
yes. I mean, of course we do. When you call the senior
mm,
dog, the junior is going to come along as well because the senior goes,
mm,
"Oh, whoopee, there's something there for me. I want to run in that direction." She goes, "Oh, that sounds good." So you want that passive
yeah,
learning for her, absolutely. But then, under these conditions, when we're on a lead in public, away from home, no, no, it's my body language, my cues that take the priority
right.
because that's
Yeah,
the time when you end up with one dog behaving a certain way and it immediately copied by the second dog and it can go wrong very quickly.
absolutely. especially when one of them is very fond of other dogs and the other one is very fond of other people.
Yes, yes, yes. Oops.
Oh, yeah, no, and that's a lovely way of helping them to learn that. That's constantly setting them up for success. And I so appreciate that about your work. It's just building success upon success upon success.
Yes, yes, yes.
It's so great for the dogs.
But you can also have some wonderful games around the house, whereas you said, oh, I'll have a cup of tea. No, I'm going to change my mind and change the toilet paper instead. Go in the opposite direction. Oh, oh. Yes. So, sure, yes, you can all go out that way. Oh, no, I'm changing my mind. Damn her.
Yeah, or taking their dinner bowls for a walk
Yes,
through the
yes,
house as
yes,
we've been
yes.
doing to stop the bouncing and yipping.
Yes, and I mean, with only two dogs, you can put two bowls down on the floor at the same time, but it does no bad thing to actually put each bowl down one at a time and say their name as you put those bowls down, so that when you get your third dog, and I'll show you the trick of carrying 6 dinner bowls at the same time. That's the fingers in each bowl, 3 on each hand. Yep,
Oh
off
my
we go. Yep.
goodness.
And then you can drop one bowl here, one bowl there, one bowl there. Yeah. And you need to put them down in the same order, otherwise they get very confused. And they all like to
Yeah,
stand in the same spot.
I really appreciate your faith in me that I can carry 2 bowls, let alone 6.
Oh, you
You
put
know
your
what I'm like
fingers
for
in the
tripping
tops.
over
Yes,
things.
yes. There's technique to this. You only got to go down to any rescue kennel and you see how the staff manage 7 bowls in the go. And I mean, some of them you can stack them one bowl on top of the other because it's dried food. But if you're feeding wet food and you stack the bowls, then the wet food of one is all on the bottom of the other, and it's not good for the kitchen floor.
Oh,
So you
lovely.
need to carry them horizontally, like a sort of you know, beer. You know how they carry all these massive beer glasses.
Right.
Okay, so anything else we can sort of think about with multiple dogs that sort of is a bit of a fast learning curve at the moment?
Affectional contact, I think, is that where one is, the other wants to be.
Yeah.
Especially where he is, she wants to be in terms of the affectional contact. She just can't get enough of that. And sometimes I get the sense that he would like me all to himself, and you can just sometimes he'll hop up on the sofa beside me and we'll be having our little moments of tactile contact, and she'll come over and she'll wiggle her way in and she wants to be in the best spot and he'll hop down
Mm,
off the sofa
mm.
again.
Oh
So,
dear, bless him. I
mm,
mean, in a way, he's not, curling up his lips saying, "No, no, this resource is mine at this moment in time.
hmm
It's my space. You can't have it." I think, in a way, we have to look at this as exactly the same reward protocol. You're going to feed. I know from a dog bowl, you can put both dog bowls down on the floor one at a time, together, at the same
hmm
time, simultaneously. With a piece of food, you can break it in half and give them one from each hand at the same time. But if you're doing something and you can stroke one each with one hand at the same time, yes. But a lot of
hmm
things will be one for you and one for you and one for you and one for you. So you hold several pieces of food in one hand and you take one and you deliver it to one. And you take the other and you deliver it to the other. So they learn that what one gets, the other will get shortly. The whole principle,
Right.
what one gets, the other will get shortly. So if he's having his chest rubbed sitting next to you, and she says, "I want some of that." Yeah, this is where your principle of "I'm busy with him at the moment," you will get yours shortly, and you might just have to do another 3 or 4 seconds with him, give him the courtesy go, and that was gorgeous, and then turn to her and give her a few seconds of that, and then turn back to him and give him a few more of his. So you actually give affection exactly the same way as you would the rewards. Here is one for you for 3 seconds, and here is one for
Mm.
you for 3 seconds. So it's your focus and attention as well as the piece of food, and it's your focus and attention as well as the tactile contact that they're getting a little bit of each. Don't try and do one hand on each dog because one day you're not going to be able to manage it. It's just it's
Right.
just impractical. You can do it in certain conditions, but it's not the fact they've got a hand; it's the fact they've got your attention and focus.
Yes. That makes lots of sense. Yeah.
Oh,
because this morning we were out in the kitchen, and he had come up to me and he was pressing himself against me, and she actually stood on his back, front paws on his back, was like, I'll
me
have some
too.
of that, please.
Me
And I
too. Yeah,
just
me
felt
too.
bad
Yeah.
for him.
No, you need to just. No, no, it's his moment at the moment. And even if you actually
Mm,
hold her arm's length on the other hand, you need to give him the
mm,
courtesy of giving him his time, showing him
yeah.
that he's not going to lose out just because she's bullied her way in. Not just,
Yes.
oh, I don't want to miss out. I want it all. Thank you very much. And if he's doing
Mm,
this courtesy of moving away, then he's obviously uncomfortable with her coming into that sort of maybe with that speed or demand. Yep, absolutely hold
yes.
her out and then finish with him, give you the courtesy. Thank you very much, that will do. See you later. And she can have 3 or 4 seconds of attention as well. So it
Okay.
does need to be
That's going to be
managed. I mean,
brilliant.
it's not that they're showing their lip, but you've got to be careful if one dog comes close. Um, I know a situation where the first dog was sitting on the lap of by the side of somebody on the sofa. The other dog comes towards them, and the dog sitting on the lap started to curl their lips up. Yes, at which
Hmm.
point they kicked that dog off because it was,
Oh
oh, you don't want to be
no.
nasty. And I go, oh, no, 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 the other way around. When the second dog
Yes.
approaches, the first dog gets more attention rather than anticipates
Hmm.
being kicked off. So the dog approaching is not a predictor of the end and get out of my
Mm,
way, I'm going to fuss this dog instead. It's just, yes, you'll
yes.
get more attention when the other dog approaches rather than less.
Oh yeah, definitely. Gosh.
No, they were just, oh, well, the dog's lying on my lap growling and owning me. That's not acceptable. I've got to
Mm,
stop that
mm,
growling. No, the growling was the anticipation of being kicked off. Yeah,
yes,
so that turned it
absolutely.
around pretty quickly. So, be
Yeah.
careful that if he's already excusing himself when she comes in, it's not good. Not good for him.
It's not. No, we'll
She
work
can
on that
wait.
as a matter of priority.
She can wait.
Yes, for sure.
Yes. Yes. The junior
She
dog has
comes in
never
so
had
hard
that
and
priority.
fast.
Yes, and she's never been
Yeah.
number one. She's actually his number two child.
Mhm.
Yeah, so although she's the youngest and she's got more to learn, it doesn't make her the priority.
Mm. Yeah.
Yeah, because making her the priority will be his cost.
Absolutely.
It's
Yeah.
difficult.
And
It is
I've been,
difficult. Yes.
because I was thinking of it in terms of, where there's affectional contact. I have two hands and they're both available for it. But just over the past couple of days, I've been seeing that he's started to move away. So what I've been doing now is making sure he has time away from her to have that affectional contact. There's certain places in the house where that's,
Actually, it'd be
but
more.
ideally I'd like,
Yeah, it'd be beneficial to him if he gets it whilst she is watching and not getting it.
yes. And
Adds more
also, I'd
value
like
to
him
it.
to be able to initiate it.
Yes,
Yeah, I'd like
absolutely.
him to be able
Yes.
to initiate it
When
whenever
she's
he
there. Yes,
wants,
yes, yes.
Yeah,
Yep.
absolutely.
And this is the period that you'll see these things changing. As she matures, um, I'm not saying she has to know her place as number second child, but the bullying can start to get a bit of, oh, I'm precious, I'm me, I get everything I want because I'm the youngest.
Hmm.
That
Mm.
sort of, oh, I've always had my own way type of thing is something you actually don't want to establish, not for either of them. He's always had his opportunity to have access to you whenever he's wanted it, and that
Yeah,
really needs to be handled carefully without him being confused about it.
absolutely. Yeah, I'm really glad for that piece of advice, because it's been over the past week and a half, I've started to feel like I have two dogs, in that way,
Yes,
that
yes.
I've started to see the different ways in which um things that I hadn't been alert to before this have
Mm-hmm,
now grown in directions that I don't want them to continue in.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
And it would all be in terms of how I deal with them,
mm-hmm.
but it's really useful to have this conversation so that I can help better,
Yeah, but
especially with.
bravo for sort of picking it up in the early stages. That, ooh, that's a bit odd. Oh, I'm not sure about that.
Mm,
Or, is this going to get this learning the difference between something that's just going to fade away or something that's going to get stronger.
yeah,
Good things are going to get stronger and bad things are going to get stronger as well. Some things will fade
yeah,
away, some good things will fade away, and some bad things will fade away. And it's knowing the difference between the two and trying to fade what we don't want to get bigger and encourage what we do want to get stronger. This is the subtle way we shape the future of how we live together. Yep.
Yes.
I mean, Zipper's always been one that if there's any, she's an odd sort of fish, really. It's just sort of collie. So she comes up and says, "Are we all right?" And I say, "Yeah, we're all right." And I give her a fuss. She goes, "Oh, good lad, I'm going to hug you and send you and suck your face to death." No, we're just all right. I don't want that much. "Oh, don't you love me anymore?" She goes this one extreme to the other. So I have to be very careful giving her affection, because that minute I go, "I love you very much," 2 or 3 strokes, pat, pat, to her is an opener to be giving me kisses with tongues. It's just full
Right.
on and hard, and she's quite forceful when she wants that. So that means, "Oh, you do love me," and so she has to express it with every ounce that she can. So, and the
Mm.
others look at this and go, "Ugh, ugh, I'm not doing that sort of shit." so, so she gets very careful, very careful. All right. Todd will come up and sit by me on the sofa, and he leans on me, and he's about shoulder height, and I go, "All right, yeah, all right." And he says, "Are you busy?" And I go, "No, I'm not busy. Would you like a fuss?" He says, "Oh, I rather would. But is she around?" I said, "No, she's asleep behind the sofa." "Good." And then he'll just sink down and turn upside down and say, "Have at it." So there's a courtesy with him that's like, it's very nice when it happens, but I'm not going to demand it. He takes what he
Yes.
gets offered if he asks politely. But heaven help him if he asks and she's around, because she knows the shop's open and I'll have all of it. Yes. So she
Right.
does get very, it is jealous, but it's not in a way. It looks like, there's an opportunity for affection. She wants all of it as much as possible all the time, can't stop, which has got nothing to do with him in a way. She just knows I'm available for affection. So it looks like she's jealous of him getting that affection.
Yeah.
It's not. It's just, "Oh, are you free? Oh, I'll have some." And the Gordon setter's just lying over the other side of the room going, "Oh, I don't think I can bother move." Okay.
Mm. Yeah.
So,
Nika's
all their
very
different
similar.
personalities come in those different fashions, and it's
Yeah.
just doing what's best for the individuals without doing something at the expense of one to the other. What's
Absolutely.
good for one is
Yeah.
not necessarily what the other one. They are not the same. They are not equal, and they are not. The relationship you have with each is different. One is not
Yes.
better. One is not
Indeed.
worse. They're just different. Yep. So trying
Yeah.
to make things equal for them is ridiculous. One might like more affection
I
in
like
a
that.
certain way, and the others don't. So
Mm.
yeah.
Yeah. That's a good way to think going forward. Thank you.
Lovely. Okay. Well, we're always open to more questions on this. I know this has been quite a long talk, but it comes back to this usual thing. If you see something emerging and you think, I'm not sure about this, always ask, always check, because these things are so easy to stop in their early stages and prevent them from getting worse than wait until they've become
Hmm.
major issues and you've got almost no road backwards. No road back to where you're
Yes.
coming. So, well, thank you very much, and maybe we'll come back to this when the third one arrives.
Older and wiser, all of us.
Well, 3 dogs are easier
Thanks,
because
Kay.
you can train one and the other 2 can stay at home on their own together. 3 is the ultimate. Yeah, 3 is the ultimate. Enough said. Don't tell
I'll
anybody
wait
else
till
that.
she I'll wait till she hits 2 years at least first.
Oh, don't tell Tiana. Oh, no. Thank you for listening. We shall be following Nika's first year through the podcasts. If you would like to learn more, please have a wander around our website, learningaboutdogs.com. We have many articles and lots of courses that you can explore. We also have Facebook pages, which is Kay Lawrence and Learning About Dogs. So if you have any questions on first year topics or anything else you'd like us to focus on, please use the Facebook pages and ask. See you next time.